Before you let Excel replace anything, it helps to know exactly what you're about to change. Find and replace is great when the same value appears over and over, and you don't even need to use a formula. We'll learn how to replace repeated text and dates safely, and I'll also show you a simple way to check whether a value appears in places you weren't expecting. Let's set sail. Find and replace is one of the fastest cleanup tools in Excel, but I don't want to start by replacing anything. I want to start with find, because find lets us check what Excel sees before we let Excel change the sheet. In this grocery list, we have several items stored in the pantry. Let's say I want to rename the storage location from pantry to shelf. Instead of jumping straight to replace all, I'll open find first. And I'll search for pantry. When I use find next, Excel jumps to the first matching cell that has pantry. Nothing has changed yet, Excel is just showing me where it found the value. So far, everything looks exactly as expected. Now that I know Excel is finding the right value, I can replace it. So first I'm going to close this window. I'm going to select only the storage column first. And by doing that, it tells Excel exactly where I want to do the work. And then I'll open replace. And I have find what, pantry, and I already have shelf in replace with. And first I'm just going to click replace. And it replaced the first cell with pantry to shelf. And now that it worked the way I wanted it to, I'm going to click replace all. And it made 5 more replacements after I did the first one. And you can see all of the values of pantry in the storage column have been replaced with shelf. We still have pantry over here in notes, and it was not replaced. I just wanted to point that out. It did not look in the notes column and replace pantry in that column. It only replaced them in the storage column because we had column C selected. So I'm going to close this window and I'm going to move to the next tab. And here we have a date example. It's an event planning sheet with event dates that are all in 2025. If I'm reusing the sheet for 2026, I may want to update those years to 2026. First, I'm going to only select the event date column. So now only the dates are selected. And I'm going to choose replace. And I want it to find 2025. And I want to replace it with 2026. I'm going to click find next. And it found the first one, which is exactly what I wanted it to do. And then I'm going to click replace. And you see it changed April 12th, 2025 to April 12th, 2026. And that looks good. So now I can click replace all, and it made 7 more replacements, replacing all of these dates with 2026 for the year. So I'm going to close this replace window. And this works well for planning sheets, school schedules, and other similar workbooks. Now, if we take a look at this sheet, you'll see that April is listed in the month column, but it's also listed in other places, like in this notes column. Several notes have the word April in it. So if I search the whole sheet and replace everything, I will replace both. So first what I'm going to do is open find, and I'm going to type April in the find what, and then I'm going to click find all. And now it has found all of the cells that have a value of April somewhere in the cell. And you can see some of these are notes and some of them are just the month. I like using find all to look deeper at the data and get a better picture of where the information that I might want to change actually appears before I decide how I want to replace it. So now that I see that it's in both of these columns, I'm just going to close this window. I select only the month column, and then I open replace again. And find what already has April, and I'm going to replace it with May. And I'm going to click Find Next, and it finds the first cell that has April in it. I'm going to go ahead and just click Replace, not Replace All, to replace the first one. And that worked the way I expected. And now it's showing me the second cell in that month column. And that is the next one I want to change. So I'm good to click Replace All. And now all of the months that were April are now May. By keeping the Find All step separate from the replacement step, it helps me stay focused on exactly which cells I want to change. So I'm going to click OK and close. And I want to point out some habits that I recommend whenever you're making bulk changes like this. First of all, if the workbook really matters, save a copy or duplicate the sheet before making large replacements. And the second thing you want to do is select the range before you replace anything, so that Excel narrows down exactly where it's going to make changes. And the third thing is replace one value before you use Replace All, and that quick little test can save you cleanup time later. And fourth, if you're not sure where a value appears, use Find All to look at the entire sheet first. Then close the Find window, select the range you actually want to change, and open Replace. And the fifth thing is just make one type of change at a time. Finally, pay attention to the replacement count. If Excel reports roughly the number of replacements you expected, that's a good sign. If the number is much higher than you expected, it's a good idea to stop and review the results. And remember, if something doesn't look right, undo, as always, is your friend. Find and replace can save a lot of time when you need to clean up repeated values or update the same text throughout a worksheet. It can almost feel like magic. Just remember to have a backup, narrow the range, test one replacement, then let Excel handle the repetitive work. Until our next voyage, I wish you smooth sailing.